So Diego Domingo, that's the director of member affairs at the South African Podcasters Guild, says the organization condemns any form of hate, at least any form of hate speech. That's after presenters of Open Chats, which is an independent podcast, made derogatory comments about the colored community in South Africa. Domingo adds that as much as they promote free speech, they do have laws and regulations, and anyone who breaks these as part of their membership will be cancelled. Meanwhile, William Bird from Media Monitoring Africa says anyone who promotes hate speech must be held accountable by the Human Rights Commission.
Any podcaster now, if they wish to, they can join the Press Council of South Africa, and then they will fall under their code. And what that means is that if someone has a complaint, they don't need to go to the courts, they don't need to go to the Equality Court, for example, or to the Human Rights Commission. They can just go to the Press Council and have the issue addressed there. When you're dealing with a very serious issue like hate speech, for example, then it is important to make sure that you get that addressed by the South African Human Rights Commission, because hate speech is a human rights violation, and determining it is quite a tricky thing to do.
We have mechanisms, we have things that can be done, as Minister McKenzie has taken the Open Chats podcast to court to follow those processes. And we need to have faith in our justice system, because our constitution does provide frameworks for this already.
Well, let's stay with the story. The Patriotic Alliance, says the charges against this Open Chat podcast will be withdrawn this evening and refiled at the Johannesburg police station, excluding any reference to the SABC. And this follows an apology from party leader Gayton McKenzie, who had falsely accused the public broadcaster of being involved in this independent podcast. The presenters, as I've just mentioned, made derogatory remarks about the colored community in South Africa, and that led to McKenzie mistakenly believing that it had been aired on SABC platforms. He's since retracted his claims and in fact apologized after consultations with the broadcaster.
Research for this matter, there were a number of articles and social media posts that cropped up. And in those posts, the Open Chats podcast had stated that they were premiering on SABC2. They used language like, just let me confirm. Where is it now? So they stated they secured a regular slot. Online reports claim that Open Chat had secured a regular slot on the South African Broadcasting Corporation to SABC2 after winning the Best Podcast of the Year title at the South African Social Media Awards. One article even stated that the podcast debuted on Wednesday, April 9 at 5:30 p.m. on SABC2. So this phrasing and their own phrasing where they speak about that they premiere on SABC2, what they were talking about was just the fact that they were going to be on the news. But it doesn't come across that way. And unfortunately, when I was doing my research, I was misled into believing that SABC2 and Open Chats had a relationship, a contractual relationship. SABC2 has subsequently clarified that and denied any involvement. Minister Gayton McKenzie, or the president of the Patriotic Alliance, also issued a public apology. He went live and withdrew all allegations against SABC2. Yesterday, we reported the matter to the police for the racism and the crime in Europe. And in that statement, we did reference SABC2. Charges were never laid against SABC2, but we did reference SABC2 as one of the platforms on which this podcast had aired. That's erroneous. So we have asked Councillor Liam Jacobs to go back to the police station where he laid the charges, withdraw those charges, and reissue the charges afresh without the reference to SABC2 in order to correct this incorrect and misleading context.